Grandma's creepy boyfriend. When I was a kid, weekends at my grandma's house were usually filled with warmth and comfort, a place where we could relax and escape from the usual routine. But one weekend changed everything. My parents were going out of town, leaving my two younger siblings and me in my grandma's care, just like they had done many times before. But this time, there was something different. Grandma's boyfriend, Banks, had moved in. From the moment I first saw him, a sense of unease settled deep in my gut. Banks was tall, over 6 feet, muscular, but there was something in his demeanor that made me uncomfortable. The way he looked at us, his presence, it all felt off, like a shadow creeping into what had always been a safe space. The first night passed without anything notable, or at least nothing I can clearly remember. But by the next morning, everything changed. Grandma told us she was heading out to pick up groceries, leaving us alone with Banks. The second she walked out the door, an uncomfortable silence settled over the house. My siblings and I sat in the living room, trying to focus on the TV, but my stomach was in knots. Then I heard it, footsteps, slow and deliberate. Banks was creeping down the hallway, and when I looked at the doorway, there he was, crouched down like some sort of predator, grinning widely. His eyes were wide and gleaming as he muttered, "I'm the tickle monster." Before I could react, he lunged at us, pouncing on my younger sister. His massive frame dwarfed her as he started tickling her, his hands moving too aggressively, too forcefully. My sisters, please. I don't like it. Stop. Were ignored. Her playful giggles quickly turned into sobs of fear, but Banks just kept going, his grin growing wider. I couldn't take it anymore. I leapt between them, shoving at his arms, trying to free her from his grasp. "Let her go!" I yelled, slapping at his hands. But he didn't stop. His face stayed twisted in that awful grin, like he was enjoying the terror he was creating. It wasn't until I screamed louder, pushing harder, that he finally let go. "Run!" I shouted to my siblings, and we bolted down the hallway, racing for safety. But Banks was right behind us, chasing us like it was some sick game. We managed to make it into a bedroom, slamming the door behind us. I held it shut with all my strength as Banks pounded on it from the other side, yelling, "I'm the tickle monster. Let me in." My siblings were crying, and I was shaking with fear, but I knew I had to keep him out. "I'm going to call the police," I shouted, though I didn't have a phone. My words must have struck something in him, because after a long pause, I heard his footsteps retreat. The house went quiet, but the terror stayed. We stayed locked in that room until Grandma came home. Banks didn't come out of his room for the rest of the night, and I didn't dare tell Grandma what had happened. The next day, Banks was gone. Grandma said he had gone to work, but my unease remained. Later, while Grandma napped, I decided to snoop in her bedroom, feeling like I needed answers. I found Banks' journal in his nightstand, and what I saw inside turned my stomach. The pages were filled with disturbing, sexual drawings, some of which had dark, satanic undertones I couldn't fully understand at the time. But one page stood out. Written in bold, black and red letters were the words, "If you die a virgin, do you go to hell?" Below it was a drawing of a prepubescent girl, nude, with two versions of her face, one smiling, and the other twisted in confusion and pain. I dropped the journal and ran out of the room, my body numb with fear and disgust. I demanded Grandma call my parents to take us home immediately. I couldn't stay in that house any longer. Later, I noticed bruises all over my sister's arms and legs, evidence of Banks' violent tickling. Looking back, it wasn't just Banks' creepy demeanor that frightened me, it was the realization of what he truly was. And to this day, I'm grateful we escaped when we did.